Uh, so we have about 20 folks now. Should we just get started?
Yeah, we can, I think.
Let's get started. Right. So, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us. What I'll do is I'll share my screen here. Just give me a second. Um, are you able to see my screen?
Not yet. Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, great. Wonderful. So, uh, sorry for the date. The date is 13th and not 6th. It's the same presentation we used in our previous webinar. Uh, so what we'll do today is really talk about ARTPARK's Technology Innovator in Residence Startup Program. But before we really talk about that pre-startup program, we'll talk about what ARTPARK is and give you a general overview of who we are and what we do. Right? All right. So yeah, we'll go through the intro to ArtPark, our approach and model for venture building, what are the key dates for application process, and hopefully we'll actually spend most of the time in Q&A. That's what happened in the last webinar, and we probably expect the same today too, right? So uh, ArtPark is a non-profit organization created by the Indian Institute of Science. Our mission is to build India's next generation AI and robotics innovators as well as innovations for the economy, society, and sovereignty. We are born out of a research ecosystem, but we create and work closely with startups and corporates. And of course, we work very closely with nonprofits and government organizations too. Right? Uh, we call ourselves a venture builder, and I'll talk about what that means in a second. Part of that, we find and develop the innovators until they become really and help them really become either for profit or non-profit ventures. Right? Our typical model is really that of identifying talent such as yourselves very early with an early stage technology that you might have already worked on in the past. Onboard them as technology innovators and residents. Uh, provide facilities for robotics and AI, as well as deep touch venture building support, in addition to our investments and networks. But the core is really co-innovation, provide a space and an environment in which you can really co-innovate with your customers. And ultimately, we spin those out as startups that become hopefully self-sustainable um, as either startups, either VC fundable startups or social innovations, right? What have we done so far? We've built and invested in 34 startups over the last 5 years. We are a highly selective program, typically supporting between 7 to 8 teams. 7 to 8 teams we've been adding, I should say. We have, on the average, provided 2 to 4 years of support, helping take technologies from, let's say, just in a 3 or 4 stage, all the way to 6 to 7. Um, Core to us is talent that first and foremost comprises of you, but we've also helped hire team members for our startups and would-be startups. We help with co-innovation and go-to-market collaborations. We have an infra-rich space here in HMT uh, campus of Bangalore, in North Bangalore, for those of you familiar with Bangalore. And of course, we attract significant capital from various sources. Right? Give you one example of something quite amazing we built from scratch here. Comrado is a startup. Uh, Actually, Ansar and team started as innovators in residence here. Uh, collaborated with Professor Suresh Sundaram, and together they have really launched this company called Comrado. It's a vertical takeoff and landing or VTOL drone. It's a hybrid drone, both internal combustion engine as well as battery. Uh, Flies at over 20,000 feet, 150-kilometer range, 6 hours endurance, right, for surveillance. Right now, they have defense as customers. They have revenues. Soon they'll have investors. So this the sort of, in some sense, these are sort of prototypical innovators in residence, or what we are now calling technology innovators in residence, that we would like to attract and build. Right? They came in initially thinking of an autonomous air ambulance concept, but as they really looked around and understood various opportunity spaces, they found that similar technology is actually required for defense surveillance. Right? Uh, they really worked closely with various stakeholders to validate that, and also ultimately start pilots and understanding what are the core technologies that they need to build, and ultimately get into really real environments with pilot customers where they actually begin to pay them, right? So today it's a company spun out. We've attracted substantial non-dilutive funding, and of course, it's actually a close to 40-member team today, right? Including several uh, ex-defense folks coming in. They also work with various stakeholders. So this is a sort of journey we hope we will help technology innovators in residence get started on, right? The TIR program is in some sense the earliest part of that journey. The application windows are currently open until the 22nd. We expect to take roughly about a month after that for shortlisting. After that, there's going to be, let's say, a little bit more intense interviews and evaluations, ultimately expecting to start the residency sometime in July, right? By the end of July, we hope we'll get really going, right? So, yeah, uh, that we hope is start of not just a few months process, but at least a 1 year journey and maybe even a multi-year journey for you, right? So apply to uh, this this is where you go and apply.artpark.info. Deadline is 22nd. And yeah, let's Nirav, do you want to talk about the application process itself a little bit?
Yeah, so in general, we have this website which Raghu displayed before.
Should I stop? Do you want to share your screen or anything, Nirav?
I don't have it open right now,
Do you
but
have the document? Maybe it's useful to just walk everyone through that. I think we did that last time, right?
yeah, we did that last time later on. I don't have it open, but I can open that up. I'll just talk of the process first, and then I'll just quickly open the document and show it to you. So everyone, we have a website which is called apply.artpark.info, where you have to go and register with your profile. There are two ways to apply. If you are at a bit of an early stage where you're still trying to de-risk some of your teams, and certain opportunities in the market, you apply as a technology innovator in residence, where you'll be given 6 months to de-risk certain areas of your business before you actually become ready to pitch to our investment committee, which includes really seasoned venture capital firms and their members who look at your pitches and tell us how to go about further if we have to invest or not, right? So, in a way, 22nd is a deadline to make the first application for the TIR. This week, we'll also launch the application process for the next part, which is the incubating, the startup incubating process. And you could apply to either or. Make sure that you apply to either of them, not both, because otherwise you would be disqualified from the application process. And while you do that, if you have, at some bit of an early stage, you apply as a TIR, when I said. And if you feel that you have de-risked certain parts and you right now have a very mature startup and you want to actually directly, you're, in place to pitch it to the investment committee directly, you apply as a what we call as a SIP or a startup incubation program, right? So yeah, in a nutshell, that is how our process would be. 22nd is a deadline to apply it. And within the next month, we'll go through the internal reviews, some bit of shortlisting. And, by end of June is when you will know if you are shortlisted. And if you are shortlisted, mid-July is when we expect you to start the program. So that's in a way the process. Let me just quickly bring up the template and talk about what is asked from you into the application process, so that you are aware of what all things you need to submit, and you can potentially it can answer some bit of your questions on what would be looked at, and how would we measure you, right? Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen, but maybe you want to increase the size a bit because it's like very long window. But yeah, this is good.
Okay. So everyone, generally there are multiple parts to the application process. In a nutshell, how a typical pitch would be, it's the same replication. We ask you to define the problem which you are interested in solving, then talk about the solution which you are thinking about, which would solve your problem. Talk of the technology which you have figured out, because this is, as it says, it's a technology innovator in residence. So technology plays a major role on, how differentiated your opportunity or product is. And then basis that, we ask you certain questions around how do you go about implementing it, right? So which we ask you about how will you go and, sort of execute on your plans when you join us, right? So if you see these questions, it starts with defining the problem areas. Before this, there'll be certain bunch of questions which define you. This is, we're backing talent in this case. So we want to know you better. So there'll be certain questions where you'll be asked to put in your LinkedIn profiles, your GitHub if you have, and your resumes. Once we know you better, we will sort of ask you a bit about what you're thinking of building when you come to us. It starts with broad-based questions on how big of a problem you are thinking about and what's the impact, right? So there's a broad question which says, tell me the critical problem in the chosen sector which you're looking to solve. And within that, there are certain sub-questions around why do you think this is a good market to look at, and why do you think this is the right time to look at, right? And why do you think you are the best place to really go after this problem statement, right? Then you say, then we ask you saying, do you think you right now have the problem well defined? This is something which is not a deal breaker, but it's just for us to understand, how well have you thought about the problem, right? Once you define your problem and tell us how well do you think you know the problem, we ask you a bit about what do you think would really help you, address that problem, and we ask you to describe your solution, right? And this basically, here we ask you, certain questions around why do you think this could be a big opportunity, and why do you think that the technology which you're putting in place or the solution which you're proposing is really differentiated and not just building on something which already exists. And how do you think would this be really going after? How do you think you'll be going after them, right? So we ask that. And then, as I said, after you talk about the solution, we get into the technology behind it. This is a technology first application process. So we're really backing individuals and with someone who wants to build novel technologies and double down on great technologies. So we ask you about what is the core technology behind your solution, and why is it very difficult to really replicate it. We ask you if you're talking of a particular technology, how advanced are you with respect to understanding the technology, and have you done some experiments in the past which helps you to demonstrate that you have a good understanding of that technology, and also if you have some protections around it, right? Or what any advantage which you have because you know that technology, right? While you're doing that, we have an optional question in which talks about if you have ran some experiments in the lab or somewhere else, if you have certain degree of expertise or insights which you have captured on the back of it to really help you to, claim or validate certain claims which you're making regarding the technology and the depth of the technology which you understand and know, right? Finally, once you've defined your problem, solution, and the technology, we ask you, if you come to us initially, if you come as a TIR, it's a 6-month period where we ask you to de-risk certain things. We want you to, clearly define what is your roadmap, right? If it is about TIR, how do you go about the de-risking journey? What are some of the unknowns which you want to validate? How will you go about validating that? Is it secondary research or something else, right? Um, so we want you to just define broad-based roadmap which you have in place to answer those unknowns and de-risk those solutions, and give us that roadmap, right? So it starts with where in the process you are. So how far in the journey are you with respect to figuring out what product you want to build? If there are any primary hurdles which I said what you need to de-risk, if there are some hurdles which you want to overcome first and build upon, and you need to tell us that. And finally, certain milestones which you have set for yourself or your team, which you want to sort of use as a checkpoint or a milestone when you join us in that residency, and how you want to move through that, right? Here, our goal is to understand what you want to achieve and also for us to position you well to make it a rewarding journey for you, right? So that when you come in, you spend the 6 months, we position right mentors for you, right infrastructure for you, so that you can go through that journey and achieve what you want on your milestones for further or future progress, right? And that's where the last question which we have in there is saying what infrastructure or help would you need to make your real or your planned milestones a successful one during your journey, right? So, in a nutshell, these are the mandatory questions. We have some optional questions in the end to know you better. These are something which, obviously won't be a deal breaker, but if we know you better, it just increases chances because now we can, really validate and understand you better and, put you in the right cohorts or opportunity areas to help you out. The last few questions is basically all about understanding you, your motivation, and how you behave. And that's where we have certain questions to say, if there were certain prototype failures which you had in past, how did you go about it? How did you pivot? How did you drive that commercialization? And how did you manage complex hardware software integration as a part of it, right? So these are the questions in a nutshell, which are there, broadly. So if you see, there are certain degrees of assessments which we are doing as a part of the application process, where we want to understand we want to understand you. It's all about backing you, not your idea. So the ideas can be lesser refined, but knowing you would sort of help us to sort of put our chips on it, you. And then going about understanding the problem areas, talking of your solution, understanding your technical depth, and basis that positioning you in the right areas to help you succeed as a part of the residency is what we are really looking for. Raghu, if you want to add something, else we can open it up for question.
No, I mean, this is good. Yeah, we basically want to see what substance you have. As part of the application form, you'll be able to submit things such as, links to photos, videos, patents, publications, whatever gives you think should give us confidence in your technical depth, and your specific concept or idea, right? So yeah. Um,
Okay, so that's pretty much from our side. Open to questions. Feel free to drop in your questions on the chat. I can read it out, and either Raghu or I can
yeah,
answer that. Or
yeah.
feel free to raise your hand, and we can take up the questions.
It may be best to for folks to generally type it in, Nirav, because that way we can also bunch them, right, as opposed to go one by one, right? So maybe give everyone a couple of minutes to start typing, to put questions into the chat box here.
Okay. while people are typing, I can take in the first question if you want.
Core tech has existed. Yeah, should I address that, Nirav?
Yeah,
What
okay. If you have read the question, yeah, you can.
Yeah, the core tech has existed for years. Our innovation is an application-specific modification of it. Would that count as novel technology? Look, it's very difficult to say, right? How difficult is that modification? Can 10 people come and make that modification relatively easy? Can you really defend it? Is there something especially, what do you say, innovative or pioneering about it? All these things, all these sort of questions come, right? Uh, so uh, patent is in the pipeline, but the solution, it's okay. I mean, that does not automate if the patent is in the pipeline. So we are not necessarily, see, none of these things are, a lot of it depends on the pool, right? Let's say there is uh, another innovator who has a patent that is deeply protected and also is very relevant, right? Both need to be important. There are lots of patents out there that quite honestly are not good for anything, right? So just having it patent protected or not will not necessarily just make you special, but it will add something. It says there seems to be something novel there. We'll take a look at that, right? Should we reveal limited tech details, keeping in mind or any technical details shared in application? All the information that you share remains confidential with us. This is not for public consumption, but it does go to reviewers, as you can imagine. So it's a bit of your judgment call regarding how much you want to reveal, how much you don't. It's of course important to communicate the technical depth, right? And remember, you also have other ways to communicate where you are with respect to videos, prototypes, photographs, etc. Right? In case of solo appointment, do we get help in co-founder or core member selection? Uh, See, it really goes case by case. We do not commit to definitely finding. People have come under our umbrella and become co-founders, right? So it has happened in the past. Uh, but it depends. We may be able to help you after you get to a certain point. We may not be able to do it right off the bat, right? We also need to get to know you for us to be able to say we'll now find you co-founders. So if you do not have co-founders, we are judging you as an individual at this point of time, right? Which is fine, right?
Yeah, but I used
Now
to,
I'm not able to stay on top of it, Nirav. Over to you. If you
yeah, yeah. So basically, just to add to that, right? But I missed her name, Katyani, right? Look,
Katyayani.
I think, but a lot of our existing startups also, they start with one or two people, and then as they build, they get their co-founders from either outside or within the ecosystem, right? So very normal for solo entrepreneurs to come in and then figure out things as they build, right? So that's the thing. Okay. Raghu Sarvana Kumar asked for the cohort start date. Sarvana, if you're asking for this current cohort, it's on right now, and the applications end on 22nd. The incubation program might carry on for another week or so till the end of this month, but this might be the only program which we might run this
So I
month.
think what he means by cohort is when will the program actually start? Maybe that's what he means. Or does he mean just the selection process?
It says next cohort, so I'm just judging that.
Oh, next cohort. Next cohort, we don't know.
Yeah.
Next cohort for technology innovator in residence, the straight answer is we don't know. Uh, but we know we are doing now. It's unlikely we'll do another one this year.
Yeah. Okay. Shakti asked that they're building an agentic AI and they've already got some traction in the market and they're also registered as an MSME. They right now, it's a solo founder with one engineer who is working on it. Should they apply as a TIR or as an SIP?
It's sounding more like SIP for me, based on what you said, right? But yeah, so we do sometimes understand that folks may have just created a startup, but it's just really individual, but no product, etc. If it was at that stage, maybe I would have said TIR. but you're saying you actually have some traction. You're registered as MSME. Sounds like you might have some revenues. I think maybe you're better suited for this.
Shakti, also the scale we use is a TIR scale. And on the TRL, sorry, TRL scale, on the TRL level, if you feel that you're less than TRL 4, which means you're at a very early stage, you're still experimenting and building certain things while you have some co-creators or customers, you should probably also go apply for TIR, right? But if you feel that you have a somewhat a better product, you figured out your industry, you don't have a lot of things to de-risk, you can apply as an SIP and directly pitch to investors, right? Think that, in the first case, you'll be given some advice to build certain capabilities. In the second case, we'll be directly facing VCs to raise money. So that's the difference. So if you feel that you are capable enough, you have the right,
VCs being really VCs as part of our investment
yeah,
advisory committees, right? So
advisory committee. So in that case, if you feel you are in the right shape to pitch directly to VCs, you can go about, applying for the SIP process, right? Okay. Naman asks if the company is not registered, do can we do that after TIR or do they need to do it right now?
no, no. I mean, with TIR, the whole idea is we are backing individual or individuals, right? So you don't have to register a company at all for TIR. We don't ask for that information, right?
Yeah.
And even later too, that's the point of TIR. You kind of, as part of that, this you discover what company you want to build, and we will figure out whether it's a company we want to back.
Yeah. Okay, there's some bit of an extension to that where Kshitij says, do we need a end-to-end idea already developed, or can you come in and build the idea as a part of the TIR cohort?
No, the concept is that, look, everyone has an idea. No journey is linear. I'm yet to see an idea that doesn't change, right? Come with whatever you have, apply with whatever you have, give it as much deep thought as possible, do as much as homework as possible, and reflect that on your application, right? We fully understand stuff might change, and that's the whole point of it. If you are successful in your first 3 to 6 months, you will basically have a much better idea of what exactly the product you build is, what's the market you're going to target, right? And what's the value prop, right? Um, but hopefully, all this is rooted in some core technology and differentiation you're bringing, right? Because we are not here to build, let's say, a business whose differentiation is operational in nature, right? We need core technology differentiation.
Okay. All right. Moving on, Sakshay mentions if this is an in-person program where they have to be here for 6 months, or it can be hybrid or remote, or can he just visit, the art park occasionally, or how does it work?
See, before I answer this question, let me say why we are doing it. We realize there's a lot of benefit of being based here in this ecosystem with several, robotics, autonomous systems, AI startups sitting around you, have shared common facilities, have access to uh, both uh, structured mentorship wherever possible, but also lot of happenstance in terms of running into people that are visiting, be it potential customers, be it potential investors, right? Government officials who can be champions for you, all of this. So when you're not based here, you're not getting all of that, right? Our intention is to try and support folks who can benefit from that. So if I use the money to support someone who is not based here, that money is not being fully utilized properly, right? It's not just the money, it's the other things, right? So we are going to have a bias for folks who are based here as much as possible. Might we end up making some exceptions for some extraordinary reasons or something extraordinary you're building, and we feel like, hey, this is amazing, and we think we can support them sufficiently, we might end up making some, those kind of, what do you say? uh, uh, exceptions, right? But that's going to be really on a case-to-case basis. But on the average, folks who are going to be resident are going to have a higher preference. Nirav, fair?
Yeah, yeah. Our website says it's a full-time residency. So our website doesn't create exceptions, but I agree to you, Raghu. If there's something exceptional, we might make a, you know, thing around it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Naman mentions what percent of teams are selected from the pool. That's a bit difficult.
We have no clue. Uh, in the past, uh, it's been like anywhere between 1 in 30 to 1 in 40.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Well, a
it
lot
depends on
depends.
both
It's
the,
also, I should say, past applications are also different.
yeah,
And quite honestly, look, this is not like a large entrance exam that everyone is writing, right? We have a set of questions that we know need thoughtful responses, right? Hopefully we have raised the bar so that we don't get too much junk, right? So who knows? Let's see.
we don't know the
Yeah,
denominator
we
as
don't we
well.
don't know the denominator, so we don't know the percentage.
Yeah, we might
We are
get
mainly
it.
choosing for a small set of exceptional innovators that are world class.
Yeah. That being said, if there's something exceptional, we want to back the maximum number of people, the best to the best of our ability, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, we will stretch, right? If we see amazing folks, we'll go out of our way to find how do we accommodate you, find others to support you, etc. Right?
exactly. So for
So
this,
far, so far, our challenge is uh, having really amazing innovators, right? I think that pipeline is very limited, and I hope you're one of them.
and also it's not just us, right? So if we can't back you, I don't know if we've not spoken a lot about it. For example, South Park Commons is partnering with us on their program also. So if you apply to us, the list would automatically be shared with them. And if we can't back you, South Park Commons actually is also looking at these applications, right? So there are these partners with whom we'll develop along the way who share our common vision and knowledge, which sort of then come in and try to get you on. So while we'll try to support maximum number of people, if we can't, we'll have similar minded partners who will look at your applications and try to get you in also, right? So it's not just us. Okay. Dweep, you asked the same question which we already addressed. It's ideally a full-time residency. It won't be virtual. Only exceptional cases would be probably one or two might be.
Hey, there's a question from Abhilash. Did we miss that?
No, I'm coming back to that. It's a bit
Okay, okay,
long.
okay. All right, got it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the thing. And we'll sort of, work through that, right? Okay. Abhilash is asking, is it, is the TIR only looking at technology or, can be,
Is it only case for technologies at readiness level 3 only in research, or is it for such cases technologies exist some form but these are combined? The second thing is entirely possible. The key is, Abhilash, like what is it that makes you unique in building a differentiated technologies? So maybe you yourself have not built that particular product yet, but seems like there is some capacity that's demonstrated out in the wild. But now, why should we believe that you are capable of either replicating that or bettering that or combining other things too? I think as much evidence as you can give us that you are capable of building differentiated tech at the end that is useful, right? It We are not necessarily saying you need to have something in your garage or in your lab today, right? But we need to know that you have some history of building such things for which due to which we would believe you, or you have some unique insight that's reflected in your application that gives us that uh, evidence-backed confidence.
yeah. So yeah, I remember the corning example you use, Raghu, when I read that.
Yeah.
Glass started with something but kept evolving into new technologies, right? Okay, moving on. Naman asks, what's the minimum TRL level which is required at the application level, or is there something else? Is it something which?
we've generally said 3 to 4 is a typical starting point, right? So I would consider 3 as minimum starting level, right? Two being, I mean, look, the point is again, it slightly goes back to the question that Abhilash said, right? Uh, Maybe someone else has demonstrated that TRL3 in their lab, and for some reason that know-how is available to you, right? Or you believe you are capable of replicating and making that happen. Show that evidence.
Yeah. So there's a follow-up question on that, right? He has, a founding team with a well-defined prototype, a bomb, and other things, but not physically integrated it as yet. How does he provide those documents to us for evaluation?
And no, maybe you have simulations, maybe you have uh, some kind of 3D modeling files that shows us the product, um, right? So uh, communicate that through your text and files. Those are the things that are there at your disposal, right? So
Yeah, so Naman, just to add to that, right? We while we showed you the form which has the question we asked, in between you will have one question, one place where you can upload a video of your product, right? Just to like a demo video or some documents. So there are options within our application process where you can input that. That being said, the TRL scale which you're defining is a bit relative. So do look at it if you feel that, while you're working on the prototype, you have the team, if you feel there are certain areas which you still want to de-risk, which is certain elements of TRL 3 or 4 are not yet clear, you can still apply for a TIR journey. But if you feel that everything is figured out and you have a TRL 4 level product, you have a working prototype, maybe it's better to look at the incubation program and apply for that, right? So just take a call basis where in the maturity you are. Ideally, TIR are areas where you want to spend 6 to 12 months to even work on your idea further before you go to the investors or the investment committee, right? Okay. Yogesh asked, is climate tech or energy efficiency based projects available, are eligible for this program, or is there,
he
what's
also seems to say the prototype is developed. See, look, while we have traditionally had certain spaces, this is a vertical agnostic call. It does need to have a significant component of uh, or relevance to AI, robotics, autonomous systems, right? Let's say you are developing a battery technology, battery optimization technology that is relevant in, let's say, EVs or autonomous vehicles, right? We may take a look at that, right? As a core component. Um, it's possible, or you may have a foundational model that is predicting certain kind of climate events. Yeah, will take a look at that, right? But the importance is having a core technology component of AI slash robotics slash autonomous systems or related relevant technologies to make these things happen.
yeah, perfect. Hemang is asking again, how many teams will we select and what's the timeline for SIP?
Timeline? No. We will make this. We hope to get this program started by the end of July, right? We don't know how many we'll select. We'll see, right? It depends a lot. We will not artificially lower the bar if enough applicants do not meet the bar, right? Just to get a certain selection mix. If it turns out the bar is very high, we may end up taking few more than what we intended. All those things are possible, and hence specific number is not there, right? This is not like a college program with a like certain seats in this class. There's no class, right? What is an ID? Uh,
Yeah, just to add to that, Raghu.
SIP, okay, also startup incubation program. Yeah, over to you, Neerav.
Yeah, yeah. So, Hemang, on the SIP, ideally this TIR will close on 22nd. We will launch our application for SIP this week, and you should be able to apply it. For now, you can go and join a wait list, and so that we can reach out to you once that program is on. Idealistically, we are looking for the deadline for SIP to be the end of the month. So 29th May would be where we are looking for the SIP to close. But that being said, we are pushing all our teams to apply for SIP also soon if you are looking for that, because South Park Common event is towards the end of the month. And we want to share the same applications which come to us to them also, right? So that they can leverage these applications and pick relevant applications into their program also. So it would be good while the deadline for SIP will be around 29th, it would be good if you can consider 22nd as the May as the deadline for both the programs if possible, right? Okay, moving on, I move to Pramod's question. For everyone, we'll share this video and recording of this. It will be available in YouTube along with our previous webinars recording for you to look at and see if any other questions which you have resonate with what others asked us, and you could consume that. Moving to Pramod's question, he is asking what is the ideal mix of hardware and algorithmic innovation, and he's asking if typical ideas around data collection, training data creation, and something which impacts robotics policy is encouraged for company building, right? Basically everything around physical AI and data collection and all other things, right?
We don't have any such preference, right? While physical AI is an important thematic area for us, right? We understand that the innovation might be on the algorithmic side, right? So that said, you'd still need to find, you'll still need to create physical, uh, you know, I'm guessing you will have to create or borrow, right? Or adapt physical data collection, uh, you know, pipelines, right? Both the physical as well as the digital bits of that. So, but we don't have a specific.
Well, Raghu, Yash is asking about RDI, and he's asking us if we are also planning to get in RDI money into our organization, and would
That's later. This particular thing is not connected to RDI. While we are in the process under the RDI, this is not related to that. We may, in the future, if and when RDI funds become available, and you're a startup by that time, we may consider you under that too, right? Uh,
yeah, but Yash, we have applied for RDI. And if available, that would be available in future as an opportunity to raise funds.
yeah, and we have several uh, private investors and companies who have agreements with us to be able to work with us on RDI,
Yeah.
right? Because ultimately half the money would have to come from somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, moving on, just yeah, Katyan Yai, I don't know if I'm getting her name right, but
Katyayani.
Katyayani. Okay. She's again asking that she has some faculty advisors on her team, and can they remain part of the team as they come in and start building certain things with us?
No, so I don't know what you mean by team. For us, the team are people who are resident here. Any of you can have any number of mentors and advisors, right? All that is fine. Uh, yeah, so right now we are not distributing the money out. You will come here, work here. Think of it as, in some sense, having an expense account through which you can pay yourself a bit and incur expenses, right? That's what is being made available. We are not putting any restrictions on whoever else you want to work with, right? Uh, these
Yeah,
could be potential customers, could be your former faculty advisors. All those folks you can continue to collaborate with and they can advise, right? And hopefully you'll pick up new mentors here, right? So
perfect. Naman is asking in the application form if it doesn't have dedicated fields for technical documentation, prior builds, or global validation, what is the way to submit these?
no, I think there is sufficient. If you have gone through if the fact that you're asking that question means you have not gone through the application yet. There is sufficient opportunities for you to submit through links or whatever way you need to submit.
Yeah. Yeah, Naman, I think there's an opportunity to add documents, including your patents and technical documents. Only thing,
Documents, links to file, links to pages or Drive, Google Drive links, whatever, right? So
yeah,
all that you are able to share.
yeah. And if you feel that the number of like limit is less, then you can club those documents into like a single PDF and upload it, right? That should be fine. Shashi is asking what would be a selection process? Like what criteria or rubric would we follow to select the number, the
No, no, I think how we are selecting is very clear from the form. I will not repeat it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. We are looking for technical depth. We are looking for relevance of the problem to the real world. We're looking for, your, what do you say, approach and all of that, right? This is not like rocket science. I think we all know this now.
Yeah. Okay. Josh is asking that, how is the spending monitored? In a way, or something which is linked to your previous response, Raghu. And he mentions that as founders, they can draw stipend, which is also mentioned on our FAQs.
Yeah. The grant is not going out. The key here is it is an expense account dedicated to you more than anything, right? So you will be resident here.
Yeah. So, but also he's asking, saying, is it like what if the is the stipend enough? Because he's not from Bangalore.
I think, see, we have a total cap on expenses and also the time in some sense, right? So within that, you will have flexibility and you will have some conversation. If you get selected, you will have some conversation with us regarding what's reasonable. And that's a really case to case basis, right? If someone fresh out of college, right, wants to take a certain number, it may appear weird. But let's say someone else who really brings significant industry experience and is able to actually pull off what three graduates could do, right, by themselves, obviously they probably can claim and deserve a higher level, right? But that's really case to case basis.
Yeah. Yeah, but Yash, also from a point of view of staying in Bangalore, I don't think it's that expensive. It is somewhat expensive, but our stipends sort of are aligned with the cost of living.
Yeah, but we do not pay separately living expenses. We either will pay, something to the innovators in residence or incur their expenses specific to the project, right? So the living expenses will come out of your stipend, right? Whatever that is.
Sure. Okay. Naman, I think we answered that question. There are opportunities for you to submit other documents also, right? So just look at our application process and you would be able to submit other documents. Finally, Yash has the last question for now. Can these grants be used to conduct small pilot studies, so that they can reach TRL 4 earlier, or, they need to use it for certain degree? And
Sure. As long as I see the question and we need data collection feedback in order to refine our software algorithm, you can use it in whatever way is reasonable, right? We will have some governance mechanism, right? And that's essentially saying, hey, sure, this is your budget, but we would also generally know how you're spending that money, right? So yeah, so, but we don't say you have to spend for this or that, or if you reach TRL 4, now you can't spend anymore. It's nothing like that.
yeah, yeah. Yash, overall, if you mention that in your milestone, you create a valid reasoning around why you need that study to be done and how does it de-risk your overall roadmap, it should be perfectly fine. Well, that's the last question. I don't see any further questions. Okay, there's one more question from Shakti. We are not generating revenue yet. We have two customer commitments to use our tech. Okay. I don't know what's the question.
So
Okay, maybe it's because, okay, Shakti, is it, we mentioned that you should apply as an SIP because you seem to be more mature on the product side. Revenue generation is not a parameter for, SIP process. In fact, we say that our incubation program, which funds you up to 2 crores, is something which is available for you to take you from TRL 4 to 6, where we define TRL 4, 5, or 6 is where you build the prototype, you find your first co-creator or a first customer, and you evaluate a market and go into the market, right? So that 4, 5, 6 for us is what we call as a value of death, which not many back is what our SIP program is really looking to do, right? So ideally, it's perfectly fine if you're not revenue generating, and you're still working on your.
no, I guess she's saying whether I should apply for TIR or SIP. It's really up to you, right? You feel like you're more in TIR territory and not quite ready for in SIP. That said, remember we are not giving money out to the startup, and the IP generated additional IP that will ultimately be given to a startup that is just getting formed. But there would also be some sort of an investment and all that that would be looked at, right? So we'll have to figure that out. It's really case by case basis.
Yeah.
Sounds like you are in some gray area between, I think you'll have to choose.
Yeah.
Our SIP thing itself would you know, do startups, the startup income will help us we folks use our networks for all sorts of um, see, the point is, do we make relevant connections? Yes, right? But all this is about your discovery process. We are not going to try and become your business development or your sales channel, right? What we will certainly help all our startups is open up our networks and connect you to the right stakeholders, right? With respect to SIP call is expected soon. We may launch by the end of this week, right? So folks can look at the SIP call and perhaps decide one versus the other.
Yeah. Okay.
But remember, SIP call, you are basically saying we are ready generally as a startup. So you will go to an investment committee. The bar for generally readiness in terms of product market fit is higher.
Yeah. Okay. The last thing, I don't know, Shakti is again mentioning that you were mentioning something and you didn't
Oh,
come.
that's what I just completed.
Perfect. Okay, we don't have any further questions. Any of you who have something
Yeah.
that can please reshare if I've missed.
Yeah, there can be international collaborators or advisors, but remember, generally, we expect the IP to be resident in India. That's the whole point of this. We are trying to build India's technologically differentiated innovation capabilities. Uh,
Perfect. Okay, that's all for the day. Any final questions, thoughts, comments before we close?
okay, all right. Sounds like we can close. Thanks everyone for the interest. We've been getting a lot of emails offline too. Spread the word. Hope 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 we'll interact in person soon. Hope you put in an amazing application. Thank you.
Thanks.